This man isn't your average gangster. He was the godfather of the Yakuza and controlled the fate of Japan from the shadows. Known for his ruthless eat-or-be-eaten logic, he turned his clan from a small-time gang to the largest Japan crime syndicate. This is the story of the most dangerous Yakuza boss who secretly ruled Japan. This is the story of Kazuo Taoka. Forged from sweat, Kazuo Taoka came from humble beginnings. Born to a struggling farm family in a small village on Shikoku Island, life was tough from the start as his father passed away before he was born, and by the time he was 4, he had also lost his mother, so he had to be raised by relatives. But things didn't get any better as they were also struggling. His uncle gave way to the pleasures of alcohol and soon became an alcoholic, turning things very dark for Taoka fast. He endured frequent abuse from his alcoholic uncle, which left lasting scars. After leaving school, Taoka assumed the abuse was about to be over when he started working as an apprentice turner at a shipyard. But he couldn't be any more wrong. He began to suffer mistreatment at the shipyard, and when he couldn't take it anymore, he got into trouble and was fired for insubordination. By 1929, he found himself drawn into the world of the Yakuza in Kobe, and in the early 1930s, he officially joined the ranks as an apprentice, marking the beginning of his association with the powerful Yamaguchi-gumi clan. Noboru Yamaguchi, the head of the clan, took him under his wings, and Taoka got deeper into the Yakuza world. Street fighting soon became his thing, and because of his ruthless move of clawing an opponent's eyes, he was nicknamed the Bear. Spiral into crime. With a flair for violence, it was only a matter of time before he caught the attention of the police, and in 1934, he was sentenced to 1 year in prison for inflicting severe bodily harm on another person. Taoka was soon released, and awaiting him outside the prison gates were a few members of the Yakuza who rewarded him a katana as sort of a welcoming ritual as he took his next step to being an official Yakuza member. This sentence did very little to tame the bear, though as just a few years later, on February 25, 1937, he was arrested for murder. This time around, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison, but he ended up serving just 6 years before being released under an amnesty on July 14, 1943. Upon his release from prison, he married his longtime love, Fumiko Fukuyama. Rise from the ashes. Taoka was in prison for the majority of World War II and only witnessed the last 2 years of the war, but they were terrible for him. He came out to meet the clan of his mentor in pieces. The war had ravaged the clan and the members had disbanded. This broke his heart, and he swore to restore the Yamaguchi-gumi back to power. To make this a reality, Taoka took the mantle after his mentor's death by assuming the role of Kamicho on October 1946 and began to take decisive steps to rebuild the clan. And his efforts bore fruits after a while. When Taoka took over as Kamicho, the Yamaguchi-gumi was a modest local group with only a few dozen members. However, under his leadership, it evolved into Japan's largest criminal organization. Taoka encouraged his subordinates to pursue legitimate business ventures and permitted them to establish their own factions, which operated as quasi-subsidiaries of the Yamaguchi-gumi. He also introduced a formal structure within the organization, appointing Wakagashira directly beneath the Kamicho to strengthen his leadership. He then designated certain influential members as Wakagashira Osa, reinforcing the Yamaguchi-gumi's hierarchy and solidifying its power across Japan. Under his iron rule, the Yamaguchi-gumi expanded by absorbing smaller gangs and investing in the entertainment industry, even establishing a talent agency. Taoka launched the Yamaguchi-gumi Construction Company on the Kobe docks and employed his loyal workforce for local projects. He expanded his reach in the local gambling and extortion circuits, and by the late 1940s, he had aligned with the Hondakai, the region's largest gambling gang. Yet Taoka's ambition quickly outgrew this partnership. In a gang war that followed, his men demonstrated their superiority over traditional gamblers, allowing Taoka to absorb the Hondakai's operations and fold the weaker gang into the Yamaguchi-gumi. His hunger for expansion led him to target the Mayukai, a Korean mob with strongholds in Osaka, seizing their territory and later subsuming the Miyamoto-gumi, further strengthening his ranks. Taoka broadened his influence in the Osaka underworld and diversified his income sources by establishing a talent agency. This agency promoted Osaka area performers who toured Japan in a popular act known as the Home Run Hit Parade. Taoka also maintained control over the hiring of day laborers in Kobe and invested in multiple cargo companies. By the late 1960s, his syndicate managed roughly 80% of the cargo loading at the Kobe docks, and in 1965 alone, his operations grossed a substantial $17 million. By 1964, Taoka commanded 343 gangs under the Yamaguchi-gumi umbrella, and by the end of that decade, he could count 10,000 members under his leadership. His success soon caught the attention of influential right-wing politicians. As a result, his front company, the Association of Harbor Stevedoring Promotion, received financial backing from Seigen Tanaka, a Tokyo-based rightist, and political support of Ichiro Kono, the transportation minister and ally of Yoshio Kodama. Viewed as a stabilizing force on the docks who could curb leftist unions, Taoka solidified his political connections. Cautious and distrustful of rival clans, Taoka declined to join the Kanto-kai, an alliance formed among the Yakuza clans in 1963. He forged on alone and became the backbone of the Yamaguchi-gumi. He was a more formidable kamicho than his mentor, Noboru Yamaguchi, and the first kamicho, Harukichi Yamaguchi. He wielded so much power that other kamichos were fearful of him. His match with Fumiko was very important, and he chose her well when he decided to love her for the rest of his life. Fumiko was his soft spot, but she was never his weak spot, as she held her own alongside her husband. With his name being fearfully whispered throughout the country, the law had one eye on him, and their attention on him increased in 1963. About 3 years later, on December 28, 1966, they were finally able to charge Kazuo with tax evasion, followed by additional charges including extortion in April 1969. Kazuo didn't back down at these charges and fought back. Despite a drawn-out legal battle, he remained active as the Yamaguchi-gumi's leader. By the early 70s, the Yakuza as a whole was facing a crackdown from the government. The different Yakuza clans have tried to hold on, but the future was unclear. Alliances needed to be forged to preserve the Yakuza and their individual clans. Hence, in 1972, Kazuo did something that went against his personal principles. In Tokyo, a rival faction was gaining power under Kikuchi Inagawa. Recognizing their potential for conflict and powerful partnership, Taoka met with the Inagawa-kai, the third largest Yakuza clan, at his residence to form an alliance. Things went well, and the Inagawa-kai would play an important role in the Yamaguchi-gumi in the far future. However, being the dormant clan in the Yakuza, the Yamaguchi were both feared and despised by the other lower clans. After staying afar for a long time, a member of a rival clan, Matsutagami, tried to end Taoka's life in retaliation. Apparently, the Yamaguchi-gumi had killed their leader in 1975, and the members of the clan were out for blood. The attack happened on July 11, 1978, at a Kyoto nightclub. The attacker shot Taoka in the neck with a .38 caliber gun, but the Yakuza godfather is not one to go down without a fight. This attempted assassination sparked violent clashes between the two groups, and the shooter was discovered dead weeks later in a forest near Kobe. Although he eventually recovered, this attack signaled the beginning of a gradual decline for both Taoka and the Yamaguchi-gumi. After many decades of ruling, Taoka's health began to fail him. His heart was failing him, and after many years of back-to-back heart issues, his heart gave out on him in 1981. His death led to a power vacuum that was temporarily filled by his wife, Fumiko, but it wasn't long before the clan broke out into chaos. There were clashes over the kamicho seat, and this led to the bloodiest war the Yakuza had ever seen. Even in death, Kazuo Taoka is viewed as the fiercest kamicho the Yakuza has ever seen. Never blinded by indecision, he followed power with no stops. What do you think of the life Taoka led? Let us know in the comments. And for more dark stories of the underworld, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell to never miss an update.